we're obviously here tonight for a little self-care. So I'm really excited to share this with you guys. I do self-care in a little bit of a different way than other people. And I love sharing it because it really seems to resonate and it's super easy to actually fit into your day. So some of you guys know me. Some of you guys I haven't met yet. And obviously, I've had a boo-boo here with my podcast cover not coming up, but that's okay. I'm Jill. I'm a podcaster, I'm an author, I'm a public speaker, and I've recently tagged myself. I have this whole new sort of description of the kind of work that I do. And so I like to call myself now a holistic empowerment guide. And so I'd love to hear from you guys how that feels. Holistic empowerment guide. It sort of encompasses all the work that I do in terms of helping moms specifically balance their time, balance their self-care, and sort of go on this inner growth journey to do it all. So that is who I am, but we're just going to jump right into it because we have 30 minutes together today. I really want to be conscious of your time. And before we dive in, I invite you to just take the deepest breath that you've had all day long and just like let go of all the stuff that you picked up today. So I'm going to do one with you. I was telling Nishma before we got going, I had a field trip with my son today. So there was like all these little kids and their energy in my space. So here we are present for this. And my intention today is really just in the highest good for you guys to get some ideas and tips and tricks on how to structure your self-care routine in a way that it feels really good. So you're going to do it and bringing your intuition into it so it doesn't feel very stagnant or structured, but really flexible and to give you the tools to be able to show up and do it in whatever way feels good for you on the day that you choose to do it. So I pulled a card for us about half an hour ago. I was just tuning in to see what was going to be a good message for us today. And it was an amazing message. It was here, I'm just going to stop sharing for a second so you guys can see. It was the High Priest card. I use this deck called Angels and Ancestors. And I'm just going to read it super quick for you because the message fits in so perfectly with this idea of like claiming our self-care and claiming the time back for ourselves. Okay. So it says, the message is to recognize that you have the power to change your life, face your fear, and align with the light. And sort of the extended message is that you are a bridge between heaven and earth, and it's important for you to know that you are more powerful and connected than you may think, which is cool because a lot of us think that we don't really have this intuition is strong or we don't know how to access it. So I love that message. It says everything that you are giving attention and energy to at this time is creating your way forward. There have been some setbacks, but accept these as experiences that have led you to a deeper understanding of yourself and your spirit. Know that you are being guided by ancestors to direct your thoughts and energies towards what you want to grow, heal, and expand, such as your self-care routine. And then watch it happen right before your eyes. So, wanted to share that with you guys. And we can dive back into the presentation. So the first thing I really want to teach is how to fit this self-care in. Because we can talk about self-care in different ways. We can talk about it in like setting up a yoga class, let's say, or a standing date with your best friend to go get drinks, or insert whatever here, a paddleboard class or a walk in the woods that you like to do in the morning. The problem with setting a specific day and time to do it is that life gets in the way. Life gets in the way. And we'll talk a little bit later about why life can get in the way and how that can impact the time that you show up for your self-care class or your self-care event that you've tagged for yourself. So what I like to do instead is to take a look at my week to come. So for example, I've pulled up for you guys my very real week that I have going on, and you'll see a whole other thing, but I do like the recurring things in black that I have every single week. And then I add in for my monthly calendar, like the specific things this week that I do. But my intention in pulling this up is for you to, and you can do this actually, if you have your calendar handy, if you do it either in paper like I do, or if you use Google Cal, pull up next week And I want you to just scan, and you'll do this every Saturday or Sunday, whatever kind of feels right with your flow. Pull up your week and identify one single hour that you can use for self-care in the following week. It does not have to be the same day every week. It does not need to be the same time every week. What it does need to be is 1 hour dedicated to you. And I want you to write it in. If you'll see, I'm putting mine Friday at 3 because I have a busy week and that's the best time for me. And I put it in green. I know that in Google Calendar and iCal and things like that, you can choose a color for each thing. I want you to do something that's going to stand out, right? And if you're old school like me, like I literally have a green pen that I use. And the idea is that if you look at your calendar for the week and you don't see this, that should be a red flag. Like, oh, I forgot to schedule my self-care. Okay. 1 hour every single week. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to show up to this hour with literally no expectation of what we're going to do with it. It sounds a little bit wishy-washy, right? Like I've scheduled this hour, but I'm going to show up and what do I do with it? How is that actually going to help me? But what we're going to do is we're going to create a little list, like a self-care menu in advance, i.e. we're going to start it a little bit tonight because I want you to leave having done some things that you can walk away with and build on. But the idea is to pick out some things that fill up your cup, that make you feel really good, that are going to be different, right? For Brenda, it's going to be different than Melanie, than Nishma, than me. We're all going to have different self-care things that make us feel great. And even within your own list, some things might make you feel great that day, but the next time you show up to your self-care hour, they may not make you feel great. You may need something else in that time, right? So think about it like, I want to give you some examples before I give you some ideas on a self-care menu and what could be in that. Just some examples of why it's important to not get set in a routine like Monday night at 6:30 is yoga and that's my self-care for the week. Because if you have a snowstorm and you can't make it to yoga, poof, self-care is gone, right? You don't have any flexibility. If you've got your period that day, if a kid throws up on you right before you go, if your babysitter cancels, if you just don't feel like going that day, right? All of these things sort of take self-care, your predetermined self-care out of the picture with no other options, right? Life happens. And we want to set a self-care routine that feels flexible enough that you can move it within your calendar if you absolutely have to. But you can choose when it happens, right? And with this self-care menu, what you're going to do is you're going to show up, you're going to look at your menu, and you're going to say, what do I need today? What does my body need? Does it need to move? Does it need to rest? What does my soul need? Do I need to be alone? Or do I need to connect with other people, right? Do I want to be outside in nature? Or do I really just need a nap? These are the kinds of questions you're going to ask yourself when you show up to your self-care hour. So if you can in the chat, because I actually can see the chat, which is very cool. So if you can drop in a couple of your self-care practices into the chat, I would love to see what you do. And then at the end of tonight, what I'm going to do is give away 2 cash prizes of $22 to one of you guys, or to 2 of you guys, actually, just because I love the energy that you're here with me live and it makes such a difference. So drop in the chat if you want to be considered for the prize. What is your favorite self-care? And what I want to do also is just offer this to you. I came up with a few ways, there's like 100 here, of different things that we can do for our self-care, right? Maybe it's a nap, like I mentioned. Maybe it's a walk in the woods. But maybe it's a journal or a breath work practice, Maybe it's sitting down and making a list of like, who do I actually want to be in my inner circle with me, and who is it okay that they don't get all of those precious pieces of me, right? Maybe self-care is sitting and scrolling for inspiration for your next thing, or just to make you happy, watching cat videos on YouTube, or these can all be self-care things as long as they're intentional, right? Reading, yes, reading. That's a big one for me too, because it's like you can escape in a book, even if it's a self-development book, which is mostly what I read. And even if you're like audio listening to a book, which is what I do as well. It's an escape, and it's for you because you get to choose. reading again, walking outside. Yes, writing. You're such an excellent writer. I love that you take the time to do that for yourself. And that quiet alone time, me too. I totally get that, because what happens for me is that I get so depleted by giving energy out all the time. And this is something that I've realized is like, the more energy you're giving out and out and out, unless you're getting it back, which is unlikely from our kids, because it's not an equal exchange at this point in time, right? Like, our kids are not at the point where they are giving us anything back. We are giving to them. They are taking and taking and taking. So burnout is essentially, the way that I like to think about burnout is like, you are giving and giving and giving without an equal exchange of energy back. You burn out that way. You literally give everything that you have and you don't get it back. So one way to give it back to yourself, to like claim it back, is to work in the self-care stuff. We want to make sure that you're full up, so that you're just like overflowing, because we know school's ending, summer's coming. The energy is crazy. Literally, I spent the day with grade 1 kids, and yes, it was a field trip, but you can tell, like, end of year stuff. They're all excited. They're all like, they're crazy. And the energy is crazy. We're switching from like raincoats and rubber boots to sandals and like ball caps and sunscreens and all the things. Everything is different. It's a crazy time. And your whole schedule is about to flip upside down. Even if you've got like kids at camp, like I do, there's different drop-offs. Sometimes there's 2 drop-offs. Sometimes the timing's different. You don't have that before and after care that you're used to. Maybe it's a shorter day for your work schedule. Maybe it's like camping season, right? And your family likes to go away every weekend. It really shifts during the summer months. And what I want you to remember, and the whole reason why I wanted to host this workshop, is to give you these tools so that you can get into the practice of actually doing the self-care, so that you have a specific time each week that you look forward to, knowing that you're going to have that fill up. Because the worst thing is not knowing when it's coming next. It's so easy to feel depleted, right? When we don't know when it's coming next. I saw here that Melanie, oh yeah, meditation. Yes. Yoga, horses, breathing. Yeah, I love that. Do you have horses, I wonder? Or is it, how do you get this access to horses? I saw some today and I remembered what magical creatures they were. And they're just so calm most of the time, right? They just have this energy. Oh, having them all home. Yes. Oh no. So Brenda works from home, obviously. She's an online business manager, and she's got her kiddos home all summer, and she's trying to work from home. Like, this is madness. This is madness, but it's reality, right? This is the circumstances. We can't change the external circumstances. So what we're going to do is we're going to change our internal, right? We're going to take control of our mindset. We're going to take control of our schedules, our self-care. This is why we're here. Coffee and books before you start your day sounds incredible. I like to do that too. I like to do, one of my self-care things I'll just share with you guys quickly is, don't really have a name for it. I've dubbed it like verbaling. So it's like journaling. It's this practice I do in my car, and I literally speak out loud, because there's something powerful about the voice, right? It literally, you're creating something into the world. You're creating words. So it's going from thought to reality, and all of the like tones and frequencies and all of this. It's a whole thing. Oh, a barn family. Oh, Reiki for horses. Okay, you're my new favorite person. This is amazing. Okay, back to it. So this verbaling thing. And I show up in my car and I just sort of like welcome in my guides. I'm like, hey, blah, 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 this is what I want to do. But the self-care portion of this is, I do my affirmations out loud every day in the car. I do my gratitude every day in the car, which includes self-gratitude. Guys, self-gratitude is everything. Please make sure you are thanking yourself and being grateful for something that you did today, a way you showed up, the time you didn't lose your cool, the time you lost your cool and you apologized about it, whatever. Like, be thankful and grateful to yourself. Okay. Also, I do my manifesting work during this verbaling session. And it's basically just my time to connect in, reset. I do it after I drop the kids off and I'm on my way back home, ready to start my day. It takes 15 minutes and I feel infinitely better. Okay. So this is kind of like where we can work into pockets too, right? If you're with me for a while, you know, I talk about time confetti, and time confetti are these like little pockets throughout the day of 5 to 10, maybe 15 minutes that otherwise we would just miss if we weren't paying attention. But when we pay attention to where these pockets are and we do something in those times that fills us up, That's another way to add self-care in, right? Throughout the day. It can be breathing exercises. It can be a little bit of gratitude work. It can be jumping up and down and moving your body and getting some energy instead of having a cup of coffee, right? Just noticing these. But anyways, I digress. Back on track, Jilly. Okay. So I just want to talk about the benefits of having a consistent self-care routine, right? Because it balances our nervous system when we are calm. We get out of that fight or flight. We take the hour, and listen, if you can't manage an hour right now, grab half an hour, grab 15 minutes. The idea is the same. Find the time in advance. Create your self-care menu in advance. Do the work before so you can show up and just like, what do I need? This is the intuition part, guys. If you haven't figured it out, you show up and you're like, what do I need? And instead of drawing a blank, you have a menu that you can choose from, right? It helps us. And I mentioned this earlier, but it really used to help me going through the day, knowing that I had a break coming, especially when my kids were super small. It was like, okay, bedtime is at 7. How many hours till 7? How do I get there? Because at 7, I know I can have a few minutes where nobody's touching me, right? Same thing with this idea of planning our self-care. Having it to look forward to means you're going to be able to better sustain yourself throughout the time, right? We all know, yeah, me too. Now it's 8:30, but yeah, I still do it too. We all know, right, that having a full cup means we can show up better in all of the roles. We can show up better as a partner. We can show up better as a daughter, as a sister, as a mama, of course, in our job, right? With our friends. We show up as the best version of ourselves when we feel filled up. And this is the whole idea of being able to just take the time for us. It's so important if you haven't figured it out. Like, this is the hill I would die on, right? Time for you outside of being mom. And it doesn't have to take over your life, and it doesn't need to be strenuous. Another tip that I'll give you actually, no, I'll do that next. Some of the other benefits that I just wanted to mention that I know we know. When you practice this muscle of taking time for yourself, you practice asking for help, right? And there are other things that you practice, but right now my screen is not allowing me to see. There it is. I'm new to this Zoom thing. We practice taking time for ourselves, which then leads to us developing the muscle to ask for help more often, right? We feel more confident doing that. We develop the muscle to delegate some things, maybe to some other people, whether it be your kids, your spouse, a VA, like, or ditching it altogether, right? You start to see what's important, prioritize when you are used to putting yourself in your priority list. And it also can lead to self-exploration. A lot of the time in self-care, what we want to do is just tune into who we are. We forgot, you know, just reconnect with yourself. So I just want to invite you, take a couple minutes. And if you have any questions, I can answer them now, or we can chit chat in the chat or whatever. But take a couple minutes to do your self-care menu. Oh, yes, Nishma. Good, 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 good. I'm glad that you were able to make it here by asking for help and delegating. It's the best. But what I wanted to share with you, my little tip, is that when you're doing your little menu, right, whether it's now or if you're doing it after the call, or when you see the replay and you're like, Jill told me to do this and I forgot. But when you do it, write down next to each item how long that thing takes to do, right? So if it's a nap, for me, a perfect nap is 40 minutes. It could be 20, 30, but 40 tops. If it's a phone call to my mom, I know that's going to take at least half an hour, right? But if it's like listening to a great song that I love, or that could be 5 minutes, or if it's just reading a couple pages of the book that I want to keep up on, that could be 10 minutes. And so when you show up to your self-care hour, you have your menu, you know you have an hour or whatever you've dedicated to yourself, and you look at the list, you're like, okay, do I feel like being productive? Some of us have a hard time resting as self-care. Some of us need this like busy work and productive mentality to feel like we can rest. So in that case, can you do 25-minute things? You're going to feel like a superstar, right? Or maybe you just need to unplug and you just need one really long thing, like a walk in the woods, and it takes you the full hour. And that is the one thing that you do for yourself that day. But the next week, it's going to feel a little bit different. Maybe you want to have a phone call with a friend and meditate. So adding in the times next to the list can be really helpful. I also like to do this if you like that idea of time confetti. I suggest having a little list of like things you could do in those 5-minute pockets, and write the time next to that too, because oftentimes we overestimate how long it takes us to actually do something. And if you're not sure about what lights you up or what you could do with time confetti, we'll stick to self-care today. But like, if you're not sure, I always like start the list on my phone and just be curious throughout the day. Like, oh, it was so nice when I walked by in the grocery store and like saw those flowers. That really made me happy. That lifted my spirits. That's going on my list, like fresh flowers, because it's really hard for us to think on our own without prompting, without like experiencing it. What do I like? What does light me up? I can't remember because we're so busy taking care of all the others, right? So just keep that note open. Okay, back to sharing my presentation. Okay. Oh, yes. Okay. That's it, guys. That's all I wanted to tell you about self-care. And now I want to share with you, before I do those cash prize giveaways, I want to share with you something very exciting that I've got going on. And because I know you're my people, because you're here, I really wanted to share it with you first and give you a cool bonus offer, because I'm launching this officially on Friday. And you may have heard me like briefly talk about it, but the idea is, it is called The Village. It is a online community. If you are in any like this, I host it on Circle, which is a really cool platform. It's got an app, which is super friendly. Actually, I'll take you in there and show you guys a little bit about what it looks like. Yes, working out can absolutely be included in self-care, Brenda. Yes, yes, yes. Keep popping them in there. I'll come back to them. I'll find them. I'm just very excited to tell you about The Village. I always hear that it takes a village to raise a child. And then we all look around and we're like, well, where is this village? Right? Like, we don't live in the same type of culture that we used to, where like our moms and grandmas and sisters and aunties, and they're all here and they're all helping. That doesn't exist anymore for most of us. So the village is non-existent. But aside from that, I really feel like it takes a village to raise a mother, right? All of those people, they're not just helping the kid get raised, they're helping you. They're helping you figure it out. We're sharing stories. We're working together. We're asking questions. We're answering questions. We're sharing experiences and bonding in this way that only people in the same cycle of life can, right? And so I created this space for the working moms and the stay-at-home moms and the entrepreneur moms and all of the moms who just feel like, I'm lonely. I'm in this alone. I need some mom friends, and I need some mom friends who get where I'm at right now. So that's what I created. I saw so many of my friends struggling. I personally was struggling, and I know how lonely it can be. I know that it is a time where you're doing everything for everybody, and you don't always have a lot of help unless you go seek it. And those Facebook groups are great, like the mom whatever's, but unless you feel safe in a community where you know the other people are your kind of people, it's harder to share. It's harder to ask questions, right? There's a lot of judgment. And I wanted to create a space that was just us, like-minded moms, doing our thing, showing up for each other, learning and growing, and just being in community, right? So I created this little membership, and it's $22 a month, and we do a co-working session every Wednesday, I think it is, in the morning, where we like show up. We do our little, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is what I'm working on. Put your thing on mute, work together. And at the end of the hour, we show up, we celebrate with each other, we hold each other accountable. We do a connection hour twice a month, which is basically like, come and meet new friends. Come with your coffee or your wine or whatever time we have it at, and just show up and be in community. I teach a live class every month that I'm only teaching in the village. And I do new moon and full moon ceremonies. So for example, I'll show you the events list in just a sec, but you get to come with me through this, like moving the energy every 2 weeks of like, what can we drop into? What can we let go of, right? I have so many cool guest experts coming in, and like 2 a month, and that's just between June, July, August, September. And then also, if you're into learning and growing, I have put everything I've ever done, literally everything I've ever done, into sort of like a library for you guys. So it's self-paced learning if you're interested. And also, the screen is blank. Of course it is. If you're interested in the replay of the calls, everything will be recorded, except like the co-working time, because you don't need to replay that. But any teachings or guest experts that we do are going to be in call recordings. And okay, but first, no, well, it's here. I'll show you this. If you sign up with me this week, by the 7th. So before I promote it to everybody in my network, I'm going to give you 2 months unlimited free access. So you can come in and just dick around and just see what it's all about, see if it's for you, listen to the guest experts, do some learning, leave if you don't love it, but I think you will. 2 months inside, absolutely free. And then after that, it's just $22 a month and there's no commitment. You stay if you want, you go if you want, you pop in, you pop out. We take you as you are because this is the idea, right? And I really wanted to make it special for you guys who came in today and were on the live call with me. So if you're here and you sign up tonight, then I'm going to give you a free time magic session. So that's it's usually it's a mini version. They're usually like 90 minutes to 2 hours, and we deep dive into a personal time management strategy. But I figured out a way to condense it and give you a really powerful like value for half an hour. And so I want to offer that to you guys as well if it is something that is on your heart to try tonight and you feel like you might need some time management. Real quick though, because I don't want to keep you too much longer, is I want to show you, just a minute, please hold. I want to show you the village on the inside because I built it and it's so fun and I just love it so much that I want to share with you guys. Okay, let's see. I think I can do this now. Thumbs up, can you guys see? Or is it like coming? Okay, cool. So this is what village looks like. It is, as you can see, I'm a member of some other groups here, but this is the village. There's a little like welcome video to tell you what it's all about. The whole like all you could learn from whatever members are here, make some connections, read about them. All of the events are listed here. So for example, like we're doing co-working this week. I've got the connection hour, the new moon ceremony. I have a decluttering expert coming in to talk with you guys. I'm doing a weekly planning workshop. We've got my PR girl who's been rocking it, getting me all kinds of like magazine, radio, TV stuff. Like she's fantastic. She's coming to talk to us about self-promotion. So many things. We've got an energy girl. We've got a human design girl. Like guys, I'm doing a workshop about the right kind of rest. There is something for you all of the time. You can go as deep as you want or stay on the peripherals as much as you want. These are the courses you have access to, the Busy Moms Toolbox and all of the recorded workshops that I've ever done, which are going to look different for you than me. But anyways, and then over here, we have spaces for you to introduce yourself, right? To ask a question to the moms or to answer somebody else's questions, share a resource. I've got my quiz. If you guys haven't taken the quiz yet, you can find it on the website. I just put it on my website, but it's very, very cool quiz to teach you about some time management stuff. And then all of the workshops here too. All of the recordings are going to be here. My whole course library, blah, blah, blah. But seriously, get the app because the app is fantastic. Love the Circle app. Okay, so I think that is everything I wanted to share with you guys today. Let me just go back to my presentation, make real sure that I haven't missed anything, but I did pretty good on time, y'all, didn't I? Oh yeah, cash prizes. Okay, okay. Well, guys, there's 3 of you here. You're all getting a cash prize. So I'm going to just send you an email, figure out how you want to do it. Yay for free money. Thank you for being here. This is such a joy to be able to share these resources with you. And hopefully you found some nugget that's going to stick with you, whether it be actually scheduling your time. I hope you make your self-care menu. Maybe you love the idea of time confetti. And if you feel called to join the village, shoot me an email if you want to know what it's all about. 2 months free. So really hop in, see what it's all about for yourself. But thank you again for being here. And if there's any questions, I'll stay on for a little bit and have a chat.